many fans you are in the chat.
Hello and welcome back to the exciting conclusion of the 2023 Krokhol Open. We are happy to be bringing you round 3 back 9 FPO lead card coverage brought to you by MDG Media. In just 9 short holes, your champion will be crowned, and we are excited to kick things off here. I'm Connor Wood, and with me, Elias Luukkonen.
What's up? Nice to be here once again as we take a look at the top 10 scores. Silva Saarinen still with an absolutely commanding lead, although she did lose a couple of strokes in the front 9 to both Jenni and Sofie. Also, some other names near the top there. Should be an exciting back 9 here. Silva certainly needs to keep her nerves down as we go on to hole 10. Very steeply downhill, playing 105 meters. Probably real distance playing closer to 100. You can see the OB on the left and right side wrapping around the basket. Actually comes well within the circle, the 10-meter circle on the backside, only about 5 to 6 meters of space behind the basket. Really important here to just keep the disc going straight and control the height. Try to keep it as low as possible.
And we'll see Jenni here to get us started. She's had quite a roller coaster of her front 9, and you see her get that nose down, but just a little bit early grounded. Doesn't complete the full flight I'm sure she would like, but a very safe throw, and rather nose down than nose up, as you mentioned, Elias.
Yeah.
We see Ingvild now.
A little bit of a higher line here. You can see the difference of Ingvild fading more towards the left, but also getting that distance all the way into the circle. Really, even though it initially looked like it was going a little bit left, really able to keep that disc flying straight. So very impressive angle control there.
And Silva playing the width a little bit. She actually overturns it down the hill. You saw her opt for what looked like a low-speed disc in a standstill stance, releasing on flat. Sofie there hits an early tree and kicks left OB. She will still have a considerable distance to the pin and severely downhill. This is not an easy approach.
Yeah, that's really a brutal mistake to hit one of those early trees on this hole. Although she executes pretty much a perfect approach from there. Really showing off that strong mental game. And Silva, no stranger to making these putts. Although this time it looks like a little bit of a soft effort there and possibly gonna lose even a couple of strokes if Jenni can sink this in from far circle 2.
You touched on it, but the front 9 was really a shift in momentum with many holes in a row. These players catching a few strokes on Silva. Although her cushion remains, it's significantly smaller than before. She may be feeling the heat as we see Ingvild there with a great birdie. Fantastic tee shot and a good translating putt there to secure that 2. We see Sofie here for 4. Having caught the early OB, good scramble to put herself up there in the green from a tough spot.
Yeah, catches right side change there. Latitude baskets certainly catching from the side a little bit better than most baskets, since the chains are pretty light. As we see Silva tapping in for that bogey. And the lead that was 1-7 strokes is only down to 4 now. Hole 11. Another one of the shorter par 3s on this course, only 87 meters. There's certainly more of a touch than a distance hole. You need your disc to be going extremely straight and land soft without skipping to the left or turning to the right side woods. The woods on the right are extremely thick and there's a lot of tiny, thin birch trees that cause for almost immediate bogeys if you go in there.
Yeah, beautifully framed green here. We see Ingvild on the tee, flipping this one up to flat. Once again, very conservative on the height, but gets some good slide up towards the green. I think really players are going to want to hold a sustained straight flying flight and not too much fade.
Yeah,
at any point.
I believe the low sliding shot is a very good play here. Or, as Jenni shows, going with something slower. believe she went with the mid-range there, able to keep that fade to a minimum. She's inside the circle there. Silva with what looks like a very early release and kicks to the left side woods. We talked about the right side woods being thick, but the left side is certainly no better.
And speaking of the right side woods, Sofie fires that one off a little bit too many rotations, and that overturns quickly. And Silva may have looked like she even slipped potentially off the tee. With a very early release, you see a solid scramble shot, almost hits the leaner, and she'll just have a tap-in par, no damage done. But Sofie continues to find trouble.
Yeah.
And needs to get out of these woods.
Both Silva and Sofie are actually staying relatively near the edge of the rough, so good on them, even though Sofie has a very long par putt there, much longer than you would like. And you can see the slope on the right side of the green. Very steep, once again, a very dangerous green as Ingvild absolutely smashes a circle 2 putt. High chains, very confident stroke there. Getting 2 birdies in a row on this back 9, that's an incredible start right there.
But the struggles continue for Sofie. Ingvild has shown a really fantastic composure in the front 9 as well as the back 9. She's putting together an amazing round. We see Sofie continuing to battle her way up and down this sloped green. We've mentioned it, but really a theme here at Krokhol Disc Golf Course is the danger of these greens. But Jenni Karppinen avoids all of that and snags herself a birdie here on 11.
Jenni once again gets a stroke on Silva. Only gonna be a 3-stroke game after this hole. So certainly gonna be a tight finish here. And I'm sure Silva's feeling it, as we unfortunately see Sofie tapping in the triple bogey 6. Certainly not a hole you want to take a bogey on, let alone a triple bogey.
It's a dangerous game.
Yeah, really showing off that sloped putting green. Hole 12. An absolute gorgeous par 5, 267 meters on the first shot, playing significantly downhill. You want to get as much distance as possible while staying on the fairway on the first shot. From there you got a choice, either lay up before the pond and OB that wraps around on the left side of the pond, or if you're feeling aggressive, go over with the second shot. From there you really have just a short approach to this green with, once again, a bit of a sloped green on the backside and especially on the right side of the basket. It's not as severe as on the last hole though.
We see Ingvild with the box now, having gone 2 for 2 birdies on this back 9 so far. A great forwards pushing flight with a soft fade and nice stability to ensure both distance and placement in the fairway.
Yeah, possibly even chance to go over the pond there with already with the second shot, which is ideal on this hole. As we see Jenni playing with something more overstable, maybe trying to play it a little bit safer, but slips it out towards the left side, and that's likely a layup spot before the pond.
Silva, though, getting aggressive. You saw her try to shape this out of the hand, and she kicks back into center fairway. That is really fortunate that she gets a bit of tree love there to keep her out of danger.
Wow, yeah.
And hopefully for her to stop bleeding strokes in this lead position. I'm not sure what her mindset must be like at this point in the tournament.
Yeah, that was a big, good break. As we see Sofie shaping just an absolute beautiful bomb down the fairway. That's really far and should be almost an easy birdie from there, I believe. You can see how tough Jenni is on this left side. Really just having to lay up before the pond, but that's a good shot.
Yeah, Sofie may be letting out some frustrations on the drive there from hole 11, still lingering. And we see Silva here. Really nice aggressive shot over the pond with a full flight. And check out the ground play, pushes herself just before this raised green and will have a long look.
Yeah, look for the eagle. It's a smash of a shot there. As we see Ingvild going with something more conservative, just trying to get over the pond, and that's still not a difficult birdie there. Only about 45 meters left of the basket.
And Sofie as well, firing off a low-driven shot, really pushing forwards and relying on that ground play from the short grass. You see these beautifully manicured fairways. Some grass more lush and thick than others, but very common that you see exactly that right there. A nice slide and skip towards the end of the flight.
Yeah, Jenni not exactly in a great position for the birdie. Still has about 20 meters left to go for it. But yeah, maybe Silva possibly gonna take a stroke back. First time on this back nine. As she just approaches next to the basket there. It's almost guaranteed stroke on Jenni, unless she can ring up some fireworks from far circle 2. Sofie first here though, just laying up for the easy birdie. Really making this long hole look much easier than it could be.
We see Jenni now giving it a bid, I think, an aggressive look there. She fires past it and is left with a tester putt. We saw her have a few struggles early on in the green in this round, but she's brought it together nicely as she composes a beautiful round, and Ingvild continues to just throw beautiful shots and then translate them to birdies. She doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon, and it's a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, just tearing this back nine apart. I believe that's the best start to a back nine we have seen. Undoubtedly. As Jenni, good cleanup there for the par. I'm sure Silva is happy about getting a little bit of breathing room here. As we see 3 birdies and a lone par for Jenni here. That's a good score from the group for sure.
No doubt, and Silva, our leader, who's known for her great putting, also showing us that she has some great throws, giving herself a look at eagle and a tap-in birdie. We'll see if that continues here to 13.
Yeah, it's one of the trickier, slightly wooded holes on this course. You have to hit this first gap with something straight, either fairway driver or mid-range, most likely. Try to keep your height at basket height and hopefully land just before hitting this hillside. That will most likely slow your disc just perfectly down. If you hit this hillside, you're almost always in the circle. That's really the name of the game. You can almost throw it as hard as you want to, as long as you hit the hillside there.
Ingvild with another beautiful shot off the tee. Absolutely perfect. A soft nose-up mid-range, I believe, completing its flight and settling just by the bullseye as Silva continues to find trouble on her way there, catching an early tree. Fortunate to sit down in the middle of the opening. She will have a look if she chooses to go forehand or backhand.
Yeah, that's
Sofie here. Just a bit of fade early.
Very common result there from Sofie, but wow, that's a big mistake from Silva. It's not one of the tighter gaps to hit on this course. Let's see if Jenni can capitalize on the opportunity. This looks a little bit low, but for sure in circle 2 and gonna have a good run at the basket from there. It's a very safe putt to run since the grass is incredibly lush and it's an uphill putt from there.
And Silva now from the bad lie and an awkward stance fires an early hyzer up there. She'll be left, I think, with a long look uphill, similar to this one from Sofie. So we have her up first. Gives it an honest bid from way downtown.
Yeah, this is a very important putt from Silva. No stranger to making this, obviously. Very aggressive run there. Hits the flag. Fortunately, because the slope on the backside of the green from that angle would certainly make her roll down as Jenni gives it an incredible run, but just misses. That would have been a 2-stroke swing.
As Ingvild continues to tear it up, really putting herself in contention after coming in the lowest positioned player on this lead card. She is just tearing it up. We'll see a short par there for Sofie. For Silva, a tap-in bogey as she continues to lose strokes against her fellow cardmates. The holes are running out, and I think all of them can taste some blood in the water.
Yeah.
And sense maybe a bit of weakness. They'll storm ahead.
For sure.
Latitude 64's boys down here. Just finished checking out the telemetry from your map, and everything is A-OK.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 1
Hey Jonathan, catch. Huh?
Warning, low oxygen. Warning, low oxygen.
Jonathan, we're getting an anomalous critical failure on your suit. Could you please confirm status?
Low oxygen.
Sorry man.
Warning, low oxygen.
As we move on to hole 14. This is just a beautiful, beautiful par 3 playing at 96 meters. Slightly uphill at the end with this raised green. Sloping left towards the water the whole way off the fairway. And also behind the basket, if you go long at all, you're very likely to be skipping or rolling down to the second pond that starts just behind this basket here. Many players are looking forward to throwing a straight disc, maybe a mid-range, and hopefully turn it slightly to the right to avoid that water. Ingvild actually going fairway here, trying the same thing, keep it to the right and avoid the water. Although those trees really tend to kick the discs into the water. I believe she did stay safe there though.
Yeah, right below them, the hillside from right to left. A really beautiful hole, both picturesque and incredibly dangerous. Really forces players to make a decision as to how much they want to attack this birdie and risk the potential bogey. We see Jenni now going out a little bit more left side over the water. This is not turning enough.
Yeah, that looks very scary there. And it has actually found the left side OB. Very critical error here. Although this is certainly a hole that you can make such errors on. Silva's line here looks much better. It's to the right of the basket height. Just needs to slow down before the water, and that's what happens once you go at all long off the basket. Might look like an unfortunate roll, but that's really what happens every time if you go too far.
The off-ramp there behind the green, sending Silva to OB. She will have a long look uphill to try and save par, but it may continue that her cardmates are given the opportunity to catch a stroke. Jenni, however, there from OB, that was for par. She'll be left with that putt remaining for bogey. Your leader now. In a critical moment, obviously a long uphill putt finds the cage. She will also be taking a bogey.
Ingvild here to get some strokes on the two top players right now, and that's an incredible putt. Staring directly at the pond and bangs it in the middle. Let's see if Jenni can do the same. This is also a very scary putt. If you miss this, high chance of a roll away, but she's not worried about that there.
We'll see Sofie here. I believe just for her par, she played safely to that right side, and then her approach to that position, taking a stress-free 3, which at this point, although she's had some struggles in this back nine and has fallen out of contention for maybe those higher podium positions, she is still very much battling for standings, and good one for her to catch there. 2 pars and 2 bogeys.
Yeah, that's a treacherous hole. And here's a little bit of an easier one, although still quite treacherous with the water. 106 meters, playing slightly downhill here. You have to carry over this water and hopefully on top of the hill or mount that the basket is perched on. Most players are going with something slightly understable on a bit of an anhyzer on the left side. Hopefully try to land as flat as possible on this green that is actually surprisingly fast if you don't hit the small grassy patches here. Important to stay slightly left of the basket, because if you go right, there's another steep slope.
Ingvild trying to shape that line, which you described exactly, understable to the left side, but you saw that significant and quick turnover. She really pushed that right and will be left going back uphill, likely a long look. And Sofie here, similar line but less height. You see her crash the hillside and actually does not make its way over into inbounds. She has an early OB, and we'll see how much she's left with.
Yeah, having to go to the drop zone after that OB, that's really unfortunate there. And as Jenni puts it inside the circle with a beautiful mid-range shot, Silva also with the mid-range. Certainly an advantage on this hole if you have the distance and the confidence to go with the understable mid-range. But Silva not really committing on that shot. Looks like Jenni has another chance for a stroke, as we see Sofie going very quick from the drop zone. That's a very good approach there.
Yeah, an absolute laser beam from Sofie there. Great recovery. And similar from Silva there. Not finding the OB, but still a great recovery from a tough lie. Ingvild with the birdie bid. Just catching the cage. You saw as the camera spin there, the altitude which she was dealing with. And we see Jenni now catching the birdie. A little bit left side, but it sits. Good control of the pace there. Catching a lot of chains. Jenni now down to 3 under par.
Yeah, and only a 2-stroke game after this hole. So it's getting exciting as Sofie gets that decent bogey save after the drive. You really can't do any better than that from the drop zone. Silva there with just a par. You can see the round score of +4. Certainly not what she was looking for, and certainly not on the same level as she was on the 2 prior days to this.
And Ingvild still sitting at 5 under for the round. She is battling for that par or below finish, and she will have 3 holes left to try and find another birdie to put her round at even, or rather total score at even. We move to 16.
Yeah, and good chance for that birdie here on 16. 231 meters, a beautiful par 5 hole. Really important on the first 2 shots to just stay within the OB lines here. The OB is getting tighter on the last 60 meters of the hole. And with the approach, it is super important to land a little bit right and hopefully not skip too far left, since there is both OB on the left and also this very steep hillside, often leading the discs to the OB. Let's see if Jenni can stay on the fairway here. Certainly an advantage if you can get more distance off the tee.
Jenni with a nice shot. She matches the grade of the hill and battles her way up there, playing into that rock. Very common that discs like to roll off that hard surface and slope. And she's got a good power hyzer there, even getting it slightly turned over. Ingvild with a very similar shape and line, but not quite cresting the hill with as much height. She will likely have an upslope for her walk up, maybe a standstill throw from there.
Yeah, I believe there is not that much to win on this drive, although Silva is challenging the right side OB. Just barely safe, I believe. Literally on the string. That's a good break to stay in bounds.
Wow.
As I was about to say that there's not that much to win on this drive, but rather a lot to lose, since most players are getting this on the fairway. And it's really hard to bite off that much more distance than the other competitors. As we saw 3 perfect drives and Silva also inbounds with a bit of an errant shot there.
And Ingvild just laying up with the placement hyzer, middle of the fairway, as you mentioned. Really one that players can game plan and try to execute their attack for. So we see a nice shot there from Silva. She was really on that right side fairway, but managed to complete good flight and good progression up the fairway.
Yeah, that's a bit more aggressive from Silva, really biting off more of that distance. As we see Sofie going in between Ingvild and Silva. Medium aggressive there. Let's see what Jenni does, because you can really choose how much you want to bite off on this second shot. Looks like she's going relatively safe just on top of the hillside. That's a good play. Only about 95 meters to the basket from there.
Ingvild now. She has already chosen that soft layup, so this is now her 3rd throw. But this is considerably overturned and does not look like it ever comes back. She will be right side OB, I still think about 50 meters from the basket, and maybe her first real blemish here on the back 9.
Very important shot from Jenni here. Trying to keep that slow disc from fading to the left. Looks like it faded just a little bit, although I believe it has stayed safe, and that's a chance for the birdie. Very scary putt though, even uphill on this green. The roll away potential is just huge.
And Sofie with the Anheuser release actually gets the stable up finish and slide. She's really bringing that slope out of play by ensuring the Anheuser release, not even letting it turn over, just starting the disc out on that angle. A nice idea to mitigate the risk. We see Silva now approaching into this green, and that is just a buttery smooth touch. Really impressive control of the speed there as she sets it in bullseye. Big statement from Silva.
Yeah, absolute huge statement and a scary looking release, but she knew that disc insanely well, knowing that it was going to flip up from the slight hyzer she released it on. And Ingvild there, that's one of the scariest putts you can find on this course, especially with the right hand fading towards the drop to the left. Looks to be running this though, with unfortunately just hits it low, and she has actually gone OB on the bottom of the hillside. That's a disaster there. And hits the cage from there, starts rolling towards OB again. I believe staying just barely safe this time there. And again from the same spot.
And again catching a roll. A tragic moment here on 16 as she does find OB. Ingvild now to compose herself and try to move off this hole. Reduce the damage as much as possible. And there you go. Manages to sink it, but an incredible round struck down at the very end on hole 16 as she takes an 11.
Yeah, you can just see how quickly that happens if you find that left side OB. Just a couple of really, really bad rollaways and that's it. As we see Sofie respectively making it from almost the edge of the circle. It's a very scary putt and possibly even scarier when you see something like what happened to Ingvild right in front of your eyes there.
Jenni may be feeling that energy as well. Some missed putts, and that was an important moment. It may just look here like two short putts, but with the scores that these two players are sitting at, that very well may be the determining factor here. As Silva snags the birdie and Jenni the par, the gap increases to 3 strokes for Silva with only 2 holes remaining.
Yeah, although 3 strokes on these remaining 2 holes is nothing. Hole 17, 115 meters. Another just beautiful par 3 hole. Really sets up for a 2-stroke swing because it's an island hole. You can see the river, small river on the right side, forming the right side OB. Left side OB you can see on the bottom left of your screen with the stakes. It's a pretty tight island from the beginning, and if you get pin high there, it opens up a little bit to the left. So really takes a gutsy shot here to go for the basket, and ideally, hopefully, fade a little bit left at the end, just to be safe on this hole. So a really big shot here from Silva.
You mentioned that these last 2 holes absolutely can play as separators. A crucial moment, and Silva steps up to the tee and executes a nice shot that she fires into the circle there. It will be left with a 7 or 8 meter putt, but great result, I'm sure, considering the circumstances. She's happy to keep it safe. Sofie here, playing with quite a lot of stability, looked for the flex. She almost rolls back in bounds, but it settles in that small trough there as she finds OB left.
Alright, Jenni here. Possibly the most important shot of the round so far. Really needs to get this inbounds in order to still have a chance for the win. And that's an amazing shot. Even closer than Silva. Really putting the pressure squarely back on Silva's shoulders there.
And what a moment to execute that shot for Jenni. Ingvild here getting that hyzer out towards the end, but keeping it safe and inbounds. This is the drop zone here for Sofie. By no means an easy shot. You really have to control the speed and pace given that the OB is just directly behind the basket, and as a result you see her throwing just a little bit low there. But a great distance control that she's set up now for her bogey save. Ingvild, a long look for birdie.
Just putting it under the basket. Maybe the slight putting rally on the last
some
hole.
lessons learned,
Yeah,
potentially.
for sure. And Silva not one to lay up quite often. Looks like she's going for it, and that's an ice cold putt right there. Zero nerves, it feels like, and just bangs it with OB literally 3.5 meters behind the basket. If she would have missed, that certainly would have been OB there.
A solid bogey save from Sofie after the errant tee shot finding OB. That's another ideal result after the drop zone situation. And we see Jenni here for her birdie. Silva with that ice cold putt. Jenni now to do her best to maintain pace. Just a little bit high. I think the wind blown a bit out of her sails there when Silva made that putt. As she now puts this in for par. Jenni remains at 3 under total as Silva walks into hole 18 at 7 under.
I believe Jenni just had a really short lapse of focus there. Unfortunately missing to the right side of the basket from just 3 meters. And actually carding the bogey after being just 5 meters away for the birdie. That's a huge swing there. Wow.
Fireworks.
Wow. Such a surprising turn of events there as we go on to this treacherous hole 18. Another hole that really suits or sets up for multiple stroke swings. 150 meters, you want to bite off as much of that as possible on the first shot, going with something like a turnover driver, hopefully leaving yourself with just about 50 meters to this very tight island green. The rocks forming the island certainly inside the circle on the left, right and short side, even having the hazard bunker in front of the basket. It's a very difficult approach here.
And Silva, now with a considerable lead, shaping a beautiful shot, crushed it down the fairway and actually goes too far, not laying up before the island. She does take a penalty stroke, although she will be right up there on the line.
Yeah, as we see Ingvild going very aggressive here. Absolute huge bomb here, only having 40 meters to the pin from there. That's a great shot, challenging that right side trees and getting the big reward there.
And Sofie as well, getting aggressive. Really trying to end on a strong note here. All the players on our lead card. We'll see Jenni look to bounce back now after that unfortunate end to hole 17. She hangs us out left with a significant amount of turnover and fades back out. Keeps it nicely within the fairway. And I like her use of a lower speed disc that allows her to get that full flight without risking any danger. She has this look now into the island green.
Looks like Jenni's almost conceding and accepting the possible second place finish here. Not even going for the island, but that's a good play. Knows the situation that most likely not making up 5 strokes on the very solid approach and putter Silva. As we see Sofia with just a beautiful touch shot, really matching, once again, matching the hillside with the angle of the disc. Ingvild
there
as
with
well.
a nice upshot. You see that sand bunker hazard just coming into play. Ingvild narrowly avoiding it, but Jenni finding it. This is Silva's second throw, but third stroke, and she is all but parked up there on the island, well positioned to finish out this hole 18 with a par. We see Jenni up first.
For the strong
And a great
finish.
putt to end out.
Yes, there you go. Kind of disappointing with the last 2 holes, but nice to make that final putt in front of the crowd that we had on this hole 18. It's a really nice putt for the crowd to kind of gather up. As Sofia unfortunately missing, but just barely stays safe. So no bigger damage there.
Yeah, she looks to putt out her tournament. Both Sofie and Jenni, real roller coaster performances. had some holes where they found great trouble, but also had some amazing throws and putts, both of them producing multiple highlights this tournament. And always grateful to have them join us. As you see here, Silva Saarinen walking to her lie to make this putt and become your 2023 Krokhol Open champion. There it is.
Huge congratulations to Silva Saarinen, an incredibly promising and already a very solid young player from Finland. Getting some love from Jenni. They were traveling together. Great to see some incredible friendship and taking the first and second spot on the FPO field. So that's a successful trip by them for sure.
Ingvild just out the left side on this short putt. You can see after the troubles on 16, the fighting spirit a little bit beaten up, but nevertheless an incredible performance by her as well.
Yeah.
As we close out the back nine, an incredible tournament. Let's take a look at the overall standings. Silva Saarinen, your leader at 7 under total, 6 strokes ahead of Jenni Karppinen at 1 under. Rachel at even snuck her way into 3rd place with a 6 under par round 3. Incredible performance as you see your podium shape up there.
Yeah, that was certainly an exciting tournament. Lots of highlights, as you said, and thank you guys for watching. It was a pleasure having you on this exciting Euro Tour event, and see you guys on the next one.